Socialization. When you think of that word, what images come to mind? What do you immediately go to when you think of socialization? Are you thinking of having tea or coffee and chatting with a friend? And then as a child, when you think back to your memories of socializing with other children, what are your favorite memories when you were socializing with those children? Most likely, you have some memories at school. Where were you? Were you in the classroom? Were you in the hall? Were you at recess? Were you at lunch? So, talking about socialization in public schools, I taught for 10 years in public schools, and classroom management was a huge thing. We had to learn about it in college, and then we had to apply that knowledge in our classrooms every day, because the goal for the teachers was to make sure the children learned the information that we were held accountable that they learned. And if children were talking all day long, especially 30 children in a small room that echoed, you weren't going to get a lot of learning done. So we implemented reward systems to keep the classroom in check, to keep all 30 of those children reading or writing or doing their assignments, whatever it may be, but they definitely were not socializing in the classroom. Perhaps at the class party, and oh goodness, after a class party, we all wanted to go home and just decompress, because the noise level in a classroom was at a point where no one could really handle it. So it's not safe. It's not good for anyone for a classroom to go unchecked. So socialization inside of a classroom is very scripted. It's raising your hand. It's sharing maybe stories, like what did you do this weekend kind of thing. But you're not really having one friend interact with another friend as much. Not to say it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen as much. So you're talking about the time children socialize in a public school setting will be your lunch and recess. So it's about 50 minutes each day. So how do you make sure that your child is a homeschool child, especially if you only have one child that you're homeschooling? How do you make sure that that child actually gets socialized so that they can fit into, normal society one day, right? Okay, so I have 2 boys and they do socialize together quite a bit at home. And we do a lot of conflict resolution because siblings. But you really do, just like you made a choice to homeschool and you make a choice about what they learn each day, you really do have to make a choice to get in the car and go meet some friends at a park, or invite friends over to play. You have to be a little more proactive in your children's social life. Now, this is a really positive thing, because if you think about your public school time, because most of us are public school graduates, right? If I think about the time that I had and the time I spent with other public school kids, like on play dates or whatever, it's few and far between. I really don't remember many play dates that I had with other public school children, because you go to school until 5 o'clock, you get off the bus, you're tired, you have homework, you're eating, spending time with family. There's just not a lot of time for public school kids to socialize after school unless it's on the weekends. And then a lot of times it's soccer, it's this, it's that, you name it. It's a busy life. So therefore, it's much easier as a homeschool child to socialize. And we're going to talk about different ways that you can get that socialization from my perspective. About, 8 years ago, I started to connect with an organization called Hike It Baby. And I did that because I personally wanted some socialization with other parents. I wasn't really concerned about my child's socialization, to be very honest. I wanted socialization for me. And so I connected with Hike It Baby, and that organization has a giant website, or had a giant website, and you would put out there like, hey, I'm going to go meet up at this park at this time, join us. And they had a Facebook group, and so you'd post it there too. It was like cross-posting information, and then families would come and they would join us at the park. This was amazing, and I really did appreciate Hike It Baby until my oldest child, became school aged. Well, the audience at Hike It Baby was baby. It says it in its name, and most people agreed that, okay, if I'm going to Hike It Baby, I'm going to have a baby. And then two, a lot of families that were in the Hike It Baby circle that I had gotten to know, they were sending their kids to public school that year. So I decided to go online to Facebook, and I was going to type in homeschool and then my town. I found those groups on Facebook, and I would post, I'm going to go and hang out here, just like I did for Hike It Baby. So one place to interact with other homeschool families is Facebook. Facebook, or if you can find a homeschool setup like Hike It Baby, a platform that's off of Facebook, like not on Facebook, you can totally use that. So like meetups.com, something like that. So going to Facebook and finding groups that meet, homeschool groups that meet, going to another platform like meetups.com or whatever. Okay. So finding your tribe, finding your people will take you you have to put yourself out there. So there are many people, myself included, that will set up little play dates. Come meet us on this date, at this time, bring your kids, bring a lunch, and let's play. So many families will do that. It's just finding them and connecting with them. I have recommended a couple books, and I'll put the recommendations below in the comments, but the main book I recommend for this type of thing is Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom, and it talks about the value of outdoor play. Richard Louv has written a few books as well about outdoor play, because from everything I've read, from the book Balanced and Barefoot, from all of Richard Louv's books, outdoor time is very important for the health and well-being of children. And so I would personally recommend setting up play dates for outdoor activities. That doesn't mean that you can't set up a Minecraft FaceTime meetup, which my kids just asked if they could do. And the answer was yes. You need to just you don't even need to be creative. People are creative for you. You just have to put yourself out there, though. So let's say that you have just this intrinsic desire to start your own little Facebook group. Go for it. Let's say there's no homeschoolers of Howell, okay, or homeschoolers of Flint group on Facebook. There are a couple things that you should realize before starting that fancy group. One thing you need to realize is that this will take you a little bit of time to set things up, to communicate with others, and your time has to feel like it is worth that. There's a commitment. I've been meeting since 2015 on the same date, the same place, for the community that surrounds me. And there is a commitment. It is something that we're planning around in our holidays. It's something that we have to come home from holidays for, to make sure we don't miss out, because it is an important thing for my kids to experience. That commitment can be a lot for some. And truly, the ideation, the support to others, it's heavy, So be aware that amazing, start your play group, amazing, start that little group that is needed, but know that there is a cost, whether it's a energetic cost, or a physical cost of like sharing your children's toys, sharing you with others, because you're starting a little group, a little play group. And although I'm always had somebody who's starting a play group and running a play group has a heart of gold, most likely. And because there is a commitment. So I do want to make sure, I think I have made sure to warn you ahead of time, to make it successful, there is a cost. So I would say love on those people that are willing to make that commitment, that are willing to hold the space for you and your community, because there is an energetic cost, a physical cost of you coming and making that commitment every single week. But on the flip side, it is so important that children have a community, that they see, okay, well, this mom over here, and I know this mom's name, and I know, my mom, and these guys we're coming together, and we have value of getting together and working together, and having a little small family. Some people call them a tribe. So there is value in doing it. So if you can reach out, type in Facebook, homeschool your town, that is probably going to be the best way to start facilitating some kind of community for you and your child. And again, I will say, if you are not finding a consistent meetup, make your own. How in the world do people see it? Well, you post it. So I started my meetup in 2015. I said, I'm going to do this. It's going to be part of our life. It's going to be the way we're going to memorize what day Monday is. And I'm going to put it on my Facebook page. I'm going to put it on the Wild and Free meetup. Platform. We're going to put it on the Hike a Baby platform. I'm going to put it on, share it to as many locations as possible to make sure other homeschoolers see it that are actively looking for a family, a community. I've seen other groups, other homeschool groups latch on to maybe a nature school meetup that happens on a weekly or monthly basis at like your local nature center. So we have a local one that we have is the Kensington Nature Center, and they host little classes. Even better, the Farmington Hills Heritage Park, they have a young naturalist class, and it's relatively inexpensive. I want to say it's $10 a child or somewhere in that neighborhood. And then a homeschool group, maybe of 3 or 4 families, they can all meet, they can take that class that's relatively inexpensive, and then they can go and play and hike the trails for the rest of the day. It's really just coming up with something that you have in common that you can put out there, and then you can make it consistent. Consistent is the key. In the book by Angela Hanscom, the Barefoot and Balanced book, the studies are showing that children need at least 3 hours per day of outdoor play. So while learning maybe Spanish with a group of maybe 3 families and then going outside and playing after is an awesome way to get together. Making sure that outdoor play is part of it is another key. So making it consistent and making sure that it includes outdoor time. And if you're not sure about why outdoor is so important, I'll do another podcast episode about that just to make sure that that all of those details are really important. But I want to stick to just socialization first for this episode. So again, consistency, making sure it's a once a week or more thing. Pick one day for the week and make sure it happens. And make it like almost like a contract with you and your children, like an agreement, like I will give you this day. And you're going to have this day to play with your friends. And then it's set, right? Now remember, whoever the person is hosting that is a serious commitment for them. So if it's you, if you're thinking it's going to be you, feel free to reach out. We can talk a little bit about it, but you can reach out directly to me and talk more about it. But really realizing that's a pretty serious commitment for you and your family if you are going to be the host. So you might even want to have a couple different people that say that they will be there and rotate through them. That's a good idea too. Okay, so anyway, making a commitment with you and your family. You will do this each week or every other week, whatever it may be. You don't have to pick a consistent place. However, if you're trying to like invite others in, that does help. But I know many groups, they meet at this nature location, then this nature location, then this one, and then this one. And they just do a rotation so that you can enjoy multiple different parks. It's something that does work for some. So having consistency, making it really serious, figuring out who's your host, and then publicizing it. Publicizing it because how else? Like I'm here in my home in the town of Milford. How is it that this other homeschooling family in Milford is ever going to hear about it? Having like a inter-homeschool like network would be so amazing. It really would. And there are many places that you can put that information out. For example, the Facebook. So I will make a little Facebook event and I will share it on like the Milford Matters and the Milford This Facebook page and the Milford This. And then I also tell other families, share it far and wide so that others can see it and we can all make friends and all find other like-minded community, right? So I would say those are going to be the keys for your socialization, like making that constant commitment and really making the commitment for it. Another thing you can do is you can find classes to take. Like I mentioned, the like Spanish. You can take like a music class. You could take finding your children's like niche, right? So it could be a chest class. It could be a maybe an arts and crafts class. And then remember, including outdoor time after the fact so that they can wildly play and get their creative juices going with whatever kind of storylines they want to do in their free play. Okay, free play is so important. And so what I always recommend, give the kids about maybe 20, 30, sometimes they're going to need as much as an hour to connect with another child and then go off and go play. So the public school method of 20 minutes for lunch and then 20 minutes for recess, that doesn't even allow a child really enough time to engage in socializing in a healthy manner, on a day-to-day basis. And again, you need 3 hours of outdoor time in order to maintain a healthy musculoskeletal and what are the words? She uses it in her book. But again, I didn't go to school for OT. I just know what works for socialization for my kids and how to homeschool. So really making sure that you are making this a priority. Socializing and having interactions with other kids at multiple ages. So you shouldn't just be saying, hello, I have a 10-year-old. I need to find another 10-year-old male to socialize with my 10-year-old male. He likes Legos. No, that is not going to represent the diverse population that your child is going to meet when they go out into the real world. So making sure to say, hey, I just want to meet with other homeschooling families. We really enjoy, and you can put that out there if you want, but really and truly, just a park play date, a nature play date will work beautifully because they're outside. They're not in your house screaming and tearing the place apart. They're out at nature, and nature can handle that. And nature is, it makes you feel so much better just when you're there. And studies have shown children need at least 3 hours a day out in nature. So making nature a part of it, again, is I think another key. So making sure you have a consistent day where you're going to meet up, you're promising your children that will go really far in your relationship with them and getting you into a homeschool community. So setting something up on the weekly or bi-weekly, trying to include nature would be super important. And then to allowing your children space. If something happens where they need you, being available. Like, be within eyesight. They can see you. They might be like, a football field away, but they can see where you're at. So if they need you, they can come get you. They don't have that at public school. They don't have anybody to come get them, to hold them if something happens, other than their teacher who already has 20, 30 other kids to take care of as well. So this is quite special. If they need you, they have you, and it develops this really nice trust. And then confidence comes because they have mom's over there, or dad, mom or dad, whoever came with them is over there. I know I can get them if I need them, but I know I'm good too because mom and dad over there, I'm playing, I'm enjoying myself, enjoying this socialization time. And I know I'm not going to be interrupted because this is our day. This is our free play day. Okay? So putting it out there is key. Keeping it consistent is key. And then not giving up if no one shows. How many times did I have no one else to walk with on our little free play day on Mondays? There were multiple times. And I just said, you know what? This is perfect. This is a time for me and my son to go walking in the woods. And we would go walk in the woods. We would enjoy our time. And I just always saw it as that. So if no one shows up, keep on trying. Keep your commitment to putting yourself out there. And again, if you don't want to be the host, that's fine, but be on the lookout for people who are hosting and take them up on it. Just go. Knowing that going once isn't really going to tell you much. How many people would go back to work on day 2 of their new job if they didn't have to? You know what I mean? So give it time. Get to know families. Even if you're an introvert, because I'm like kind of introverted, believe it or not. Even if it's uncomfortable, keep showing up. Give it a month. Again, I'll use the new job analogy. If I'm going and I'm having a new job and I'm there, it's not comfortable. It's not great getting to know all of the different ways of doing things and the ins and the outs. I mean, it's off, sure. But know that over time, it gets way easier. Multiple people have come up to me and shared with me that it takes a good month. It takes sometimes 2 months for them to feel like, wow, okay, this is great. And I feel like I belong. This is a great setup, it works. So I will say that being consistent, even if it's uncomfortable, is a really huge key as well. Because I know I'll find people come to our meetup, and then I see them signing up for another one's meetup, and then another one, and then another one. So I would say it's not speed dating. It does take time to get to know people, especially homeschool people, because we have our ways, right? There was one time where I went to go check out a little co-op group it's local to me. And I reached out to the woman and I said, okay, yep, let me know when and where and blah, blah, blah. So I show up, and they were meeting in a playground. And I get to the playground and my kids are playing and we're having a good time. And I saw some moms hanging out in the soccer field, but I thought, you know what? No, I mean, how would I thought we were meeting here at the playground. Like, I didn't hear like an all call or, hey, nobody would know who one another is, because we all were signing up to do like an intro, like, do we want to be in this co-op kind of thing. And I remember just even feeling hurt. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know these people. They don't know me. And where are they? And did they leave me? And I remember I looked over at the soccer field, and I saw these women standing in the soccer field, but I didn't have I saw them walk over there, and I thought, okay, well, that's odd. And then they were standing over there for a while, and I thought, no. It didn't seem like it clicked. It didn't seem like it was the right thing, but that was on me. That was my bad. I should have, if I really wanted to be a part of that little squad, I should have walked over there into that soccer field and taken the chance. And in the end, I'm glad I did not, because we just didn't have time for a co-op, and co-ops and I are just a whole different story. But in general, taking the chance. And when you set up your little meetup, make sure you have a way, if you're hosting it, you have a way to make sure that newcomers feel welcome, because it's so odd. It's so different to come, like a first date, a first day at your new job. It's awkward. So making sure that your newcomers, or if you're just meeting for the first time, making sure you're very clear on where you're going to be meeting up, how the start of the meetup's going to look, making sure that you are able to be found easily. Those are key things to make sure that it runs successfully, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You really don't. That's your goal, was to socialize. So that's the last thing on your list of things to do. However, it's easy to do. People are very sensitive. Not everybody, but people can be very sensitive. So making sure, and two, when you're chatting with a friend that you know really well, but you've invited new people to come, just being cognizant that people are probably listening to what you're saying. And I know one woman once told me, she said, I'm overhearing some of the things that you guys are saying, and I don't know if I like this group. And I said, oh gosh, what? Tell me what it was that we could have possibly said. Because I'm like, my personality is like, I always mean to do things the very best way the very first time. That's why school was hard, because I was like, I am trying. Like, I only put forth my best effort everything I do. Like, I just put my whole heart into it. Everything I do, right? In everything. Now, do I relax sometimes and I'm just talking with friends? Sure. And can things get taken a different way? Absolutely. That just happens. Anyway, we had said something, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it had something to do with, I don't even remember, but what she said just didn't fit my personality whatsoever. And so I took a lot of time to help her to realize that, hey, I think it was misunderstood, but making sure that people are feeling welcome, See, this is the job of the host, right? Making sure people feel welcome, making sure that they feel included. They feel included in it. And if it's just a free-for-all, that's fine, but making sure they know how to find you and know what's expected too. Like, what are the expectations for the day? Okay, so you're just going to let the kids go run off in the woods. Okay, there's swimming involved. I had no idea, all the things. So making sure to kind of spell it out for people, because I remember when I was teaching, they called this, what did they call it? Story something, where you would, for kids that had autism, sometimes what they needed is they needed to hear you verbally telling them the story of how things were going to go down, how the flow was going to be. And so that's important for some people. Not all, but I always feel like more information is better than less. Okay, so let's recap. So today, on this episode, we talked about socialization and how to make sure to include socialization in your homeschooling week. Making sure that you make a commitment to once a week or every other week, however it fits into your schedule, making sure it's consistent. Making sure to advertise that out, that, hey, we're meeting up, and make it easy. Make it simple. I didn't even say that, but make it simple. Meet at the park, meet at the library, and then go for a walk at the library's pathways or whatever afterwards. Or if there's a park right next to the library or whatever, make it easy. Make it simple. The more simple it is, the easier it is too. And the less the more likely people are going to come, because they're like, oh my gosh, what could happen? We're meeting at a park. Well, what else can happen if you're meeting at a park, right? So keeping it simple, making it so that it's easy to digest for anybody who might be coming. If you're planning on coming and joining a little homeschool meetup, reach out to the host. Ask them some questions. Ask them questions you might have. Let them know you're going to be there. Let them know, hey, my name is Jenny. I'm so excited to come. My kids are so-and-so and so-and-so. We're going to have red and green jackets on today. And I just want to make sure to reach out before so that you know who we are and we don't get lost in the mix. That would have saved me when I went to that one meetup. I could have said, hey, my name is Molly. I have 2 boys. And she knew that. She did know my name was Molly and I had 2 boys. But something happened. There was a disconnect there. And it didn't end up being that I could pull myself out of my comfort zone and walk to a soccer field. It was kind of far, but to walk to a soccer field where obviously a bunch of women are standing. Something's going on there, right? But I just couldn't. I heard we were meeting at a park and it just something in me froze up. And that's okay. I tried. The biggest step sometimes, well, actually always, the biggest step is getting your kids into the car with all the proper gear and on the road. That's the hardest part. For me, you can tell me we're meeting 45 minutes away, a half hour away, 5 minutes down the road. The hardest part is always to get your kids in the car. And I suppose that can be a whole nother talk. How to get your kids in the car, right? All right, so making sure it's consistent, making sure it's easy, trying to have some kind of outside aspect to it, because kids do need your 3 hours in nature every single day. And then making sure to reach out to your host. And if you are the host of this, making sure you broadcast it as much as you can so that people see it. And making sure that you're very clear on what to expect and give people all the details. Similarly, if you are looking for other homeschoolers to hang out with, go even on Google, type in homeschool your city. Type in homeschool your city on Facebook, Google, and you should find something. Many people will say, oh, I'm putting my kids in a co-op so that my kids can have socialization. Co-ops are the same thing. Co-ops will get you a picnic to socialize at. Co-ops will have a lunchtime and a recess, just like regular schools, but just like regular schools, they need to maintain a quiet setting for learning in the room. So a co-op's not going to get you the anything but a day for your kids to be somewhere else learning, and possibly like electives if that's important to you. So anything other than you taking your kids to go play and have free time to play isn't really going to fit that socialization need. You can host a tea party at your house, but if you think about it, like if you have any kind of like adult directed activity that they must do this and then they have to do this and then they have to do this, that's not fitting the socialization checkbox. Socialization that's needed is just for them to go ahead and talk and play. As an adult, would you rather go have coffee with your friend, or would you rather go have do a lesson and then that's socialization? Maybe like, what is that? The learn how to make jewelry or whatever. So children, their way of learning is play. And so allowing them to have that free play. You're not saying, hey kids, let's go play Duck Duck Goose. Oh, hey kids, I know, let's play a game. Let's play this and this or that. No, just let them go off and play. It's that easy. Okay, so I want to wrap it up here. If you have any questions about socialization, how to best get socialization, how to host some socialization meetup, please feel free to reach out. But again, keeping it consistent, keeping it simple, having some kind of outdoor element to your get together. And then two, if one thing doesn't work for you, continuing to try it, unless your kids really didn't like it, but continuing to try it, because it takes a while to get to know people. It really does. It can't be speed dating, especially if you don't interact with that person or interact with their kids. You can't go to a meetup and then not talk to anybody and your kids not play with anybody and then say that that wasn't for me. It takes time. It takes time to make a good relationship. It takes time, and showing your children how you're making relationships at their play date is a huge model to teaching them good friends, what a good friend looks like, etc. So this is all continuation of homeschooling. You're teaching your children how to be a good friend. It's something that they can't learn in public schools unless the social worker is coming in and working with them on the daily on how to be a good friend. So it's a beautiful thing to teach your children how to be a good friend. It's a beautiful thing to show them through example what perseverance looks like, what conflict resolution looks like, because you can go through all of that with a little play group. All right. Thanks so much for sharing your time with me today. And again, reach out if you have any questions, and we'll talk next time.